I know exactly where that breathless anxiety you're feeling right now comes from. When you look out the window, the world seems to be racing ahead at an impossible speed, leaving you standing alone on the cold asphalt, feeling as though you've forgotten even how to tie your own shoelaces. To you, a fresh soul taking your first steps into society, or perhaps a dreamer standing on a new path after leaving a familiar sanctuary. The word order might sound like a label for being late, or just another name for failure, but the story I want to tell you today is that order possesses a much more fundamental strength than the speed we are so obsessed with. Take a moment to visualize the process of a flower blooming. When a seed is cast into the dry earth, the first thing that happens isn't the bursting of colorful petals. Instead, in the dark, damp soil where no one is watching, the priority is the desperate act of digging roots deep into the unseen. Only after that period of endurance has sufficiently accumulated does the fragile stalk gain the strength to pierce the surface. The leaves sprout to withstand the wind, and finally, at the peak of its life, the flower bud bursts open. What would happen if a flower skipped this order of rooting and pushed its stalk up first? It would likely be uprooted by the slightest breeze. Your life is no different from this providence of nature. The frustration and the painful sense of falling behind are actually the most sacred and important first steps, the laying of a solid foundation, so that the tree of your life will never shake. These days, the flashy achievements of others on social media might clutter your ears, but they are simply passing through a different season of order than you. Just as a camellia blooming in winter does not blame itself for not being a sunflower, you too must respect the unique timetable given to you. The anxiety tormenting your heart is actually evidence that you love your life that much, and that a desire to become better is alive within you. Someone who walks while feeling the texture of the soil under their feet and confirming each step of the order, even if slow, will ultimately be able to go further and more sturdily than those pushed along by a speed created by others. Anxiety is a sharp blade that gnaws at your soul, but the moment you put that blade down and accept the order of waiting, you will finally be free. Please, do not imprison yourself in the cell of impatience. The season of your life is coming precisely according to your own order. Just as there are plum blossoms that bloom through the early springs, snow and roses that burn red under the midsummer sun, the order in which you will shine is already set within the providence of the universe. I want you to firmly believe in this order. I hope you don't lose your unique color while trying to force yourself into the standards set by others. You are, at this very moment, fulfilling the most perfect order, allowed to you at your own pace, without a single error. I am looking forward to seeing how the deep roots you've cast will bloom into a magnificent flower once this darkness passes. Do not break, and do not give up. The shaking of the ground you stand on is not a sign of collapse, but a sign that your inner self is undergoing a shift to cultivate new land. You might not yet fully feel how the seemingly trivial fragments of your daily life are actually the bricks of a great order. As a newcomer to society, standing in front of a printer, or taking notes on what your seniors say, a sense of self-deprecation might suddenly surge, making you think, did I endure all that just to do this menial work? Or, in the process of a career change, as you go back to the beginning and agonize over the first sentence of your portfolio, you might blame yourself, wondering, why is my time the only one that has stopped? But do you know this? Those small repetitions and basic practices are actually the essential sequence of becoming the foundation stones that will withstand the weight of your future fortress. Even when making a single photocopy, you unconsciously internalize the language and flow of the organization. The process of learning how leaders view problems and make decisions, while organizing meeting minutes, becomes your own unrivaled practical asset that can never be learned in any textbook. People often wander in search of shortcuts, but the only way to become a true expert is to honestly pass through the order of mastery that involves enduring boredom. In psychology, there is a concept called learned helplessness. When you believe that the situation won't change, no matter how hard you struggle, your brain eventually puts you in a lethargic state. I am worried that you might fall into such helplessness because you don't see immediate rewards. Just because the invisible efforts you are putting in right now don't result in flashy praise doesn't mean they are meaningless. They are expanding the vessel of your inner self and tempering the muscles of your soul. When you take on greater responsibilities later, these boring experiences will become the most sophisticated inner strength to support you. To you, who are fiercely agonizing over a career change, I say this: simply leaving a place because it is painful is not the true meaning of order. To absorb all the know-how you can in your current position, to learn cooperation, and to move on only when a solid inner conviction arises that is the healthiest growth. Never forget that you are not skipping steps or being delayed, but are making the foothold to soar higher, more solid. Human growth never takes the form of a straight line. It is a staircase where you walk a horizontal line for a long time before ascending vertically one day. This stagnation is not because you are lacking, but is an absolute time to condense energy in order to leap to the next step. Only those who have endured that boring order silently will finally earn the qualification to appreciate the new scenery on the next floor. I am so proud of the way you are silently enduring that tedious process. Others might think you are stopped, but I see clearly how fiercely you are filling the warehouse of your soul with precious treasures. The moment your sincerity passes the threshold of growth, you will fly higher than you can imagine. Never take the small tasks of today lightly. They are the holy order that saves you and grows you. Finally, the story I want to tell you, while holding your hand tightly, is the unwavering belief that everything eventually finds its rightful place at the most appropriate time. The numerous encounters, successes, and failures we face in this journey called life are actually pieces of a giant puzzle of order, prearranged to complete your grand narrative. Whether it's staying up all night gripped by anxiety as you change careers, or feeling like a small boat tossed about by giant waves on your morning commute, it's all just a necessary descriptive process for your next chapter. Have you ever heard of the Stockdale paradox? It refers to the attitude of never losing the belief that you will ultimately prevail, while simultaneously squarely facing the harsh reality before you. I want you to live today with exactly that mindset. It is dangerous to fall into vague optimism, but it is even more unacceptable to be buried in the pain of reality and extinguish the light of your future. Your end will surely be brilliant. The value you possess is thousands of times greater than what you currently evaluate yourself to be. However, to arrive at that place of glory, there is an order in which you must pass through the barren tunnel of today, even if it is cold inside that tunnel. If you remember that this is a process of shaping you to be stronger, you will emerge as a much more wise person than before. I hope you learn in this particular order how to deeply trust and love yourself, not how to be swayed by others. It doesn't matter if the world calls you a failure. If you affirm your own order and take one step at a time, that step is more valuable than any giant leap. The tears in your eyes now will become the first sentence of a success story that you can tell your juniors when you stand tall at the peak. Imagine your future self smiling and saying, "I too was shaken back then, but because I didn't give up on that order, I can be who I am today." You are a person who is qualified and capable enough to do that. Life sometimes shows us walls, but they are just doors that test how great our will is. Now, lift your head again and face the humble order of today. It's okay if you don't achieve a great feat right away. Just finishing the small tasks and having the courage to start again. Tomorrow means you are already living a wonderful order. Do not let impatience gnaw at your soul. The timetable of your life is known only to the Creator and you, and according to that, you will bloom at the most perfect timing. Your season will never pass you by. It is simply waiting for the order in which you can shine the brightest. No matter where you are, I will always be here, as your reliable support, cheering for you with all my heart. Never forget that you are not alone. I can already see the brilliant light waiting for you at the end of this road. So please love your own precious order deeply and walk with your head held high. I bless every moment and every step you take. Hang in there, my precious person. You will surely make it, because your time is about to begin.